Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. The new NBA crave, right? The Lakers search for the head coach. And I promise, man, the NBA should be ashamed of itself. The NBA should be ashamed of itself. None of this can wait until the finals is over. And some people will say, oh, they need a head coach, man. Lakers need a head coach. How come they couldn't do this before the finals started? This is just up LeBron James' alley. For him to always be the talk of the NBA, even if he's not in the NBA finals. We're talking about a 4-6 loser, a meltdown artist, a choke job artist, a guy who never, in 6 finals blowouts, never seen a game 7 in all of his finals losses, which is 6. How is that possible? Can somebody explain that? How do you lose 6 finals and you don't even see a game 7 in either of them? 2 sweeps. What was it? 2 4-2s, 2 gentlemen sweeps. You'd never see a game 7. And you're telling me this guy by ESPN and Fox Sports is a number 1 or a number 2 player? Could you imagine? Could you imagine Michael Jordan, let alone having 6 finals losses on his record, let alone, and then didn't even see a game 7? This is not even talked about. It's not even seeing a game 7. So you had no business in the NBA finals in 6 of those losses. And you've been there 10 times. 6 of them, you had no business being there. Michael Jordan, meanwhile, never seen a game 7 and was undefeated. What does this have to do with a head coaching job, you might ask? Because we have to talk about this loser that keeps running the floor after 21 seasons for what? If this guy was winning statistical titles and losing, okay. So, give me something that validates why this guy keeps playing. And this is what's going to happen. Now they're talking about hiring Dan Hurley. What's going to happen now? You think LeBron is going to stay and try to be coached by Dan Hurley and be told what to do? No. Every coach that LeBron James has ever had has been a puppet. I don't give a damn if it was Ty Lue, whatever his name is. Tyron. He was a puppet for LeBron. You got to do what LeBron says, and that's it. And if they hire Dan Hurley, that means he's going to be hurt right between his legs, and he's going to get all sensitive about it that they didn't hire JJ Riddick, his boy. Because didn't we hear yesterday? I saw this on the wire, that they was finalizing a deal with JJ Riddick. Right? They was finalizing a deal with JJ Riddick. People were sending me this stuff, and I didn't believe it. And then I went through social media, and then there it was. It was reaching terms with JJ Riddick. And then today, this comes out. And I usually don't watch First Take. It's an embarrassment to sports talk. An embarrassment. And this is why people like Dreamers Pro, and I'm not going to take back what I said in a video about the guy. This guy runs back and tells you everything that ESPN and Fox Sports says. Man, you know what they said, man? You know what they said, man? Every single thing they say. And they don't say nothing that's of any substance. And that's why he's running back as an informant for them. Because people don't care about First Take. Stephen A. Smith, he done sold out a long time ago. He will snitch on his mama. Stephen A. Smith will. They got all these WNBA women on there to make us care about the WNBA. Who's watching this crap? Who's watching this crap? So it came across my feed on YouTube, and they was talking about, who is this guy? Wojnarowski or something like that was on there. And they were talking with Wendy. They call this guy Wendy, Brian Windhorst. What man lets anybody call him a woman's name? Wendy. His name is Brian Windhorst. Windhorst. Where did you get Wendy from? And he talks like a woman on top of that. And LeBron said this. Get out of here, bro. Soft as a Pillsbury Doughboy. Letting grown men call you Wendy. Windhorst has nothing to do with Wendy. So they're all on this panel talking about this. And, Wendy happens, he speaks for LeBron. He knows everything that LeBron says. He says that it's just a coincidence that LeBron talked highly of him after he won that national championship, saying how he was a good coach, blah, blah, etc., etc. Who wasn't talking about that at the time? Look, if it happens that LeBron stays, but I just don't see him staying. I think secretly they're telling LeBron to get out. And this is the final blow for him just to move on. Because he wanted JJ Riddick, or he wants some type of puppet coach that he can do whatever he wants to do. He don't want to run an offense to where you're going to play defense. Also, just think about it. I've said this in the past. With all that talent on the Lakers, right? Reeves, D'Lo, AD, LeBron, whenever he wants to be talented. Who else is on that team? Hachimura. And they probably at least two deep on the bench, right? This type of talent. If they wanted to, they could be a top 5 team in the standings in the West. Are you kidding me? You're telling me that the Clippers are really a better team than the Lakers? Talent-wise? No, sir. Kawhi's days are numbered. We all see what James Harden does. Westbrook, his best days are behind. Paul George, you know what he does. His best days are behind. They should have been in the same spot that they were in. What were they, like a number 4 or 5 seed in the West this year? There's no way that the Lakers should be making a play-in just to make the playoffs. And they almost lost if it weren't for Zion faking that injury. How much money did they pay him to fake that injury? So, look, in order to be a top 5 team in the West, guess what has to happen? You have to play defense. If you don't play defense, you're not going to be a top 5 team in the West. And to me, I don't think that's saying much, or that's too hard. It's the West. The West is more run and gun than the East. The East is more gritty and defensive league. But you got to play some type of defense in the West to be a top 5 team. It's not just about putting up offensive numbers. To be a top 5 team, you got to play some defense. And the problem with that is you're going to have to play defense 3/4 of the season at least. So the second problem with that is LeBron James. If that team plays full throttle defense, he won't be able to make it through the season. He won't be able to make it through the season. So what they do is they lollygag all season just so they can make the play-in and beat up on some nobodies in the play-in to make the playoffs. And hopefully they can make some type of run in the playoffs like they did last year in the Western Conference Finals. That kind of run. You take LeBron off that team, Reeves is a better defender than LeBron James at this point. He's going to give you more effort on a nightly basis. So LeBron basically now is nothing but a circus act in the league. Where's he going to go? Oh, let me finish. And to me, without LeBron and with the Lakers, they will be a top 5 team. I don't think they really need another piece to replace LeBron. You got AD, you got Reeves, you got D'Lo, sign him again. You got Hachimura. Who else you got? I forget this guy's name with the dreads. Or you could just add a little piece, give you 15 points a game. You don't need this guy. You know what? AD will be averaging 30 and 10 a night, maybe 15, 30 and 15 a night without LeBron James. They're using this guy to sell tickets, to keep tickets expensive, to sell merch. And I've said this in the past. If you're a fan of LeBron James since he's been with the Lakers, you're a damn fool. You done got an old, beat down LeBron James. This ain't the Cavs, LeBron James. This ain't the Miami's LeBron James. You done got to do that. Don't play no D. If you're, how could you be in the audience on a nightly basis and not see that this guy puts forth no effort on the defensive end? Sits there and cries and flops. Basically, the only shots he can get is coming down the lane with a stiff arm and somebody's head, chest. That's basically all the shots he can get. So they're a better team without LeBron because now these guys can play defense. They can play full throttle. They don't have to worry about if this guy's going to be on the floor or not. And then when he's not on the floor, they're winning games. When he comes back, they're not winning games. We'll see what happens. But to me, I think this was a shot at LeBron James, what the Lakers are doing right here by hiring or want to hire Dan Hurley. And they want to give him a long contract, like 5 years. And they want him to stay, which means LeBron ain't going to be there for 5 years. I think they want him out. That's what I think they want. I think they want him to move on. But they don't want to say it. But I think this is, by not hiring JJ Riddick, this is a shot at LeBron James because he wanted his butt buddy, JJ Riddick. But the Lakers are like, nah, this dude is a bad analyst. He has no coaching experience. And the biggest thing is for the NBA, a straight embarrassment for this guy to be talking bad about all-time great legends. Just pissing all in their face. This guy can't dribble. That era was slow. These guys couldn't shoot. I mean, come on, man. What did you do? Nothing. What did you do? Nothing. You didn't even start half the time. You was a bench warmer. And you're dissing all-time greats in their era? How could you even... This guy is supposed to be intelligent. How could you compare eras? Because this is what the LeBron fans think. They think if you put LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Booker or these type of guys back in the 60s, that they would dominate. No. If they went back to the 60s, the 70s, or wherever era, you got to play that style of basketball. You got to wear those type of shoes. There's no load management. You don't get all this type of medicine that you got today. Hand checking, body to body, positional players, which means your power forward and your center has to be in the paint just about all the time. And you're playing positional ball. You're doing what the coach tells you to do. You're getting screamed at if you don't do something, like play defense. It can't be 4 guys sitting at the three-point line, just resting all game. You got to be hustling all game. Dudes all up in your grill while you're shooting all the time. It's not all these screens so you can get open and sit at the three-point line. You guys are idiots. Things done got easier in this era. That's why the game is played like it is. It didn't get harder. Like I said before, even in the 90s, these guys like playing defense. They pushed the three-point line in. They wanted them to shoot more threes. They try to do away with hand checking. They try to make the game speed up. What happened? It basically backfired because these guys were too much of competitors. They were competitors. They didn't want nobody saying Michael Jordan or Tim Duncan or David Robinson or all these guys that played in the late 90s. They didn't want somebody saying, oh man, look at all the rules and advantages that these guys had. They didn't play no defense. They pushed the line in so they could shoot all these threes. Nope, these guys still wouldn't shoot threes as much as the NBA wanted them to, and they still played defense. They didn't want that to be on their plate. They still play. They were still hand checking. Hell, Michael Jordan last shot as a Bull. Watch when he comes down with the ball after he stole the ball from Karl Malone. Right before he makes his move, what happened? Russell hand checks him off rip. He hand checks him. Michael Jordan kind of, I don't know if he pushed him away or he just made a fast move. But after Russell hand checked him, he kind of like took off. I think he pushed his hand away. And then they started to go. And that's when Michael Jordan pushed off on him and took that shot. See, people don't look at that. All people look at is Michael Jordan pushed off. No, Michael got hand checked first. Go look at Jordan in Washington. They were still hand checking, elbows in the post, in the back. These guys didn't care. So even though they wanted to change the rules on the players of no more hand checking and elbows in the back in the post, guess what? They kept doing it. So it wasn't really called. The only time it was called is if you was going up for an actual shot and the dude hand checked you or bodied you while you was going up for a shot. Other than that, they didn't call it. Because one team did it, the other team did it. It wasn't like, oh man, he hand checked me. And one dude was crying on this side and they didn't do it on the other side. They was doing it on both ends of the court, both teams. This is how these guys played basketball for decades. Competitive basketball. It wasn't no Euros taking over the league. They played in the league, but they wasn't taking over the league as the best players. No knock on the Euros. It just wouldn't happen back then. I don't care how good. And they could shoot back then. But the defense was so sticky. You wasn't just walking down the lane like Luka Doncic and doing what. Let me tell you something. Luka Doncic averaging 8 to 10 threes. 8 to 10 rebounds a game in the 80s and 90s. That's a joke. That's a joke on the history of the NBA. A joke. A joke. A guy who can barely dunk. You got to be kidding me. And LeBron being 6'9", 250, 270 as a superstar in the 80s and 90s, only averaging 7 rebounds a game, he would get clowned. And he better have a mid-range. You couldn't hit the mid-range in the 80s and 90s, you was useless. And him being a forward, a power forward, not having any positional moves in the paint besides driving, you can't do nothing on the block. That's why I try to tell these fools and educate them, because they try to make up history. Stuff like Curry changed the game, man. Tell me all the three-point shooters that was on the Golden State Warriors back then in the 2000s or 2010s. You saw 4 guys posted up at the three-point line in the 2010s? I didn't. All I saw was Clay and Curry. 2 guys shooting 40+% from the 3. That's crazy. If you went for Clay, you're going to throw it to Curry and vice versa. They didn't spread the whole floor out and 4 guys were sitting at the three-point line. That didn't happen. Who spread the floor out? It was LeBron James. That's who spread the floor out. Go look at it. Ever since he had went to the Cavs, but the 2007 NBA Finals, that season, that's when this all started. Because he can't shoot. So he needs the majority of his guys, except for the center, to be sitting outside on the three-point line while he drives. And that's why Dwayne Wade had to adapt to that. They put Chris Bosh out there which was a paint guy. They put Kevin Love out there. Yes, he could hit the three because it was a three-point shooter, and he won the three-point contest. But at the same time, he was a paint guy. So that messed Love up to be out there all the time at the three. These were LeBron teams. J.R. Smith, all these guys got stretched out to the three-point line while he drove. And they couldn't stop him because he was the only one in the league bodybuilding. This wasn't the 90s where all the guys was lifting weights. That was pretty much the height of, to me, bodybuilding in the United States, around the world, pretty much, the 90s. So lifting weights in the NBA, everybody did it. Everybody was cut up and was strong because you needed to. It was a grinded out game. Once you got into the 2000s, all the great centers start disappearing. The great power forwards, especially in the 210s. So why was this guy lifting weights? Everybody else getting smaller and him getting bigger because he can't shoot. So he'll just drive down the lane, a big old bodybuilder against skinny three-point shooters and get his points. Who's going to step in front of him? They're now told you can't play defense in this league. So it's dunks and layups, dunks and layups. 90% of his shots, dunks and layups. So you guys tell me what you think, man. I think he might go to the Suns. An excuse to go to the Suns. I think they might move Bill up out of there and him go to the Suns. This guy's just a circus act. I told you guys a long time ago when he went to Miami, nothing but a circus act. This guy ain't about winning. A circus act. Take your talents from city to city, whatever they are, whatever talents they are. I don't know what's going to happen, man. I think LeBron is gone. That's why they kept the option open for only his son to work out with the Suns to get drafted over there. I think he's gone. But they're going to wait. They don't want to say nothing right away about him leaving until the finals is over. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if they bring it up because this guy wants all the damn attention. This is why the NBA is dying. They don't want to promote nothing else but a 4-6 loser. And I hope Hurley gets hired and they move on from LeBron James. Because the Lakers are a better team than what people think they are. But they're not allowed to play defense full throttle during the season because this guy will run out of gas. Tell me what you think.